The psychedelic revolution is here. If you want to integrate your visionary experiences into your purpose, get clear on your entrepreneurial path, and help people while you do what you love, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to The Psychedelic Entrepreneur, Medicine for These Times. I'm your host, Beth Weinstein. I'm a spiritual business coach, 3-time entrepreneur, and a lifelong student of psychedelics and sacred plant medicines. You carry your own unique medicine, and your medicine is what we need for these times. This podcast will help you to share your medicine so you can create transformation in the world. Listen in on conversations with psychedelic leaders, changemakers, and conscious entrepreneurs who are living proof that a better world is possible when you follow your heart and live in alignment with your soul. Hello, welcome back to Medicine for These Times. This is an episode where I am recording a follow-up on the Iboga experience that I spoke about in the last episode. So back in December or January, I don't remember, I think it might have been early January, I recorded an episode that was about I think it was something like 14 years of contemplating doing Iboga and how I started working with the spirit of Iboga without actually touching the medicine. And then I talked about my experience before going into finally work with Iboga in what they call a flood dose and in a week-long retreat with this master root medicine. Here I am a few months later. I gave it a few months. When people have asked me, like, how was it? What do you think? I say, ask me in 6 months. So this is a little premature. I don't know if I can say that was the most amazing experience of my life or not. But I do want to report on this a little bit, just for those that are curious, and also because I think there's some things out there that I just didn't know about until I got there. So I am sharing a little bit, not a lot. I'll probably do another follow-up in maybe 4 more months. It's been about 2.5 months since this Iboga retreat where I did the 2 flood doses. And if you listen to the episode from last week, as I mentioned, I had worked with this medicine before in small doses and spirit dose, which was extremely profound. And I will say this flood dose experience was quite different than any other medicine I've ever worked with. I am deeply in deep reverence to this master plant more than probably. I mean, I've always had reverence for these plant medicines and plants in general, but this has definitely deepened my relationship with plants. It is a master healer. I had some experiences that I don't know how they will affect my life, quote unquote, like my day-to-day. But I had some pretty powerful experiences that I know for a fact were extremely deep healings. I have witnessed how they have affected my day-to-day already. My integration, the one thing I will say is I left a lot of space for integration. I had a lot of space for preparation. I have had sessions nearly weekly with the person that I work with as my therapist, essentially, but she's someone who's also has worked with this medicine a couple times. So, and, it's not traditional therapy. It's, very deep soul work and somatic work and Hakomi and depth psychology and so on. Lots of other modalities woven in, energy work. And I think that is definitely what had me have such a powerful experience. I will say this, some other people on the retreat with me did not report the kind of things that I reported. And not to say mine was better, of course, some people had really amazing experiences, but there were definitely, there's not a lot of words for it, but there were definitely moments of knowing that something I had recognized in many years of deep work and preparation. And, it's not like I was preparing for many years for this experience, but, deep work doing transformational neuro-linguistic programming, which is the modality I've been studying for many years and have been working with my teachers for a long time. Certain things that I had identified that were being brought up to the conscious, layer by layer by layer, where it was like, oh, okay, like, well, that energy is running and that isomorphic pattern has been running through, me and my parents and probably generations beyond that. Beliefs and patterns and ways of being and, and a lot of this, none of it was new, right? It's like, I've been working on this for so long. I started doing pretty deep work on myself when I was a teenager. I mean, honestly, probably before then, but I would say from 14 onward. And now I'm, in my midlife era. And, to recognize certain things that were in my field and know about this beforehand, and then have a very direct prayer of like, okay, for example, there was something with the masculine. And I've known about this a very, very long time, and I've been working on it layer by layer by layer. And it's gotten better and better and better and better and better, right? There's nowhere to get to. This is lifetimes of journey, right? And, who knows? Maybe it's just this lifetime. But when I stepped into this space, the reason why it took a long time to say yes to it was because I really wanted to leave proper time and spaciousness for the preparation and integration, because it's not like just going and doing a mushroom journey. It's very deep. It's extremely deep work. And I do believe the more energy you give to the preparation, integration, and the prayer, like your deepest intention and prayer, the more it will work with you. I mean, these plants are here to be in relationship with us. They're not here to do something to us or fix us or cure us or heal us. It is a symbiotic relationship. So when I stepped into the prayer, this was one of many, by the way. I had many prayers, but the one around the masculine, and it wasn't just like, fix my problem with the masculine. It's not that. It was so much deeper than that this episode doesn't have time for. But it was, there was something that happened months before I said yes to this. And I saw it. Like, I started seeing things a lot more clearly. And by the way, thank you very much to that man in my life who had me be able to see things on a whole new level. I am eternally grateful for him coming into my field at that time in that way. And if he ever listens and hears this, I'm totally happy to share more about it, but who knows? He probably will never hear this. But I had some things happen months before I said yes to this, and I started to see things in a different way. It was like, oh. And, mind you, I was doing a lot of transformational NLP work because I'm in the training and I've been in the training and we're doing a lot of this work. I was also doing a lot of family constellation work, doing work regularly with my therapist, energy work. I'm in a constant movement of prayer and intention and expansion in my life. I always have been, and I probably always will be. It's just part of who I am and how I operate. It's a moment to moment practice. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to do Iboga, so now I'm going to do all these things. It's like, no, it's like it's a lifestyle of devotion to knowing who I truly am, being a clear channel of service to whatever I'm here to do in this incarnation. That's it. It's like I work for God, I work for Gaia. So when I started seeing this months before, I was like, oh, there's something that I haven't quite noticed before that was so deep in the unconscious or the not conscious realms. And I started to touch upon it. And I knew what it was. And I was like, oh, but then, it's like, how do you make, I've made the unconscious conscious, right? I started seeing something that was not conscious. But then what? Right? And yeah, there's many modalities that will help, move it along, transmute it, work with it. On some level, there's nothing to change, right? It's just here. It's a recognition, integration of it. But I started to work with this, and I had it as a prayer. It's like, okay, there's something running here. I pray for this to, like move or guide me towards or clear, become a clearer vessel for this other intention. And I'm telling you, this medicine, I would say majority of my 2 sessions, ceremonies were, I think everything, all the prayers, it's like I had list of questions. They even told us to write down a list of questions. What are you here for? Like, this is deep work, right? So all my prayers were all intertwined, of course, because it's just my human experience, right? So it's not like one versus the other. It's all one. And this journey with this medicine, which of course they say is truth medicine, nothing it showed me was like 100% new. It was like a deepening in and a deeper level of clarity. For example, like my inner child that I had been, connecting to for so long and, integrating and building a relationship with, this just brought it to a whole different level of understanding and relationship building. And what I believe to be a deeper integration of the soul into my body, into this vessel. And there were some other things that were not easy. They were actually quite challenging to look at, but they weren't new to me. So I've become very used to looking at things that are not challenging. That are challenging, that, it's like, oh, okay, there it is. And by the way, thank you very much, ayahuasca, for being, like, I believe is the master teacher for really sitting in the discomfort. On some level, the Iboga journey was definitely harder than anything, but also on some level a lot easier, which I find really interesting, because I was like, wow, I was really scared of working with this medicine. But, ayahuasca and probably Bufo, in my opinion, Bufo at least goes by very quickly. So even when it's hard, it's very quick. But ayahuasca, if you can sit with the challenges of ayahuasca, you're definitely in Jedi training for being a human alive on Earth right now. That I don't think, I think now that I've worked with all of these, that's my theory. Like, ayahuasca is definitely like the master trainer for how to sit in like ultimate discomfort. Iboga was highly uncomfortable. One of my friends was there with me, and when I said to her in the morning, like, how was it? That was horrible. It was like, yeah, that was fucking horrible. That was hard. And it was profound. Just like, I have such an ultimate like prayer of deep gratitude and reverence. Like, I bow to this master root teacher and the tradition that holds this medicine, by the way. Just like most of these master teachers, this medicine, it doesn't work the same without the music, without the tradition, without the ritual that really grounds it. There's of course people who have isolated, Ibogaine and are serving that in like clinical settings. And, I'm not here to say what's good or bad or right or wrong, but, it's definitely not my path. I believe there's, it's like to each their own. But, yeah, there was definitely a certain level of like, oh, now I understand. Like, this is like many of these other traditions. There's a group of humans on the planet that have worked and built relationship with these master plant teachers in, channeling through their songs, their music, being in this deeper relationship. And it's not about like getting from the plant, but being in a relationship with. Yeah, and I definitely saw that. I had some very clear visitations from some of these wisdom carriers and plant carriers from that part of our world in Gabon. I don't know. I'll never know, but it showed me things very clearly that I then later said like, well, here's what I saw. And it completely described an exact place that I've not ever seen or been in my entire life. I mean, it's fascinating, right? To the T, like, oh, I saw this and this and this and this exact color and these people. And I mean, it was like exact. I've had deep and profound dreams that started long before I said yes, before I even knew I was going to go on this. And, I had been tracking and paying attention like I always do to, life and my dreams for a long time. And I noticed a pattern in my dreams for what I would say was like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. There was a theme. And this theme came to fruition during this journey. And it all made sense. And I was like, oh, okay, this medicine probably had been speaking to me, I believe, like almost 2 years. Probably longer, because I started actually working with the medicine about 3 years, 3.5 years. I don't even remember what year it was. Yeah, maybe 3.5, 4 years ago, before I said yes to this retreat. So to see all this and to see the intelligence behind it, and again, this is the human mind making up stories. I don't know. I'll never know if it was real, but the themes of these dreams that kind of kept repeating over and over. And then, certain things that would actually happen in my life. I had this deep journey with water, deep journey that went on for years, 7 years. It's been a very deep journey. Even longer than that, actually. But it started really intensifying on a pretty deep level in my dreams, and the journey with the water on my land and the spirits of the water really intensified in the last year and a half. And I'm telling you, there were certain things that happen on certain days that were of high significance. Significance with this guy that I met, significance with astrological transits, significance with things happening in my family, changes in my life, changes in my business. It was on target, to a T, pinpoint. And that's one thing I really found with this medicine, is that it has this certain level of they say it's the truth medicine, and it has a certain level of accuracy and pinpointing and clarity. And then it definitely had hours and hours of shit that made no sense whatsoever, where nothing was clear. And I actually had to say, why are you showing me this? What does this even mean? Does this even mean anything? Does anything even mean anything? Here we are just trying to make meaning out of all of it. None of it could mean anything, and that's why I say, ask me in 6 months, ask me in 3 years, ask me at the end of my life. Did that do anything? Who knows? But I definitely feel a vibrational shift in my being. I feel certain patterns that I had been working on, and that, for better or worse, really came to the surface back a few months before I said yes to this retreat. They surfaced very strongly with this guy that popped into my life. And, they showed themselves wow, very almost amplified. And I believe it was because this medicine was coming in. It was oh, here's some shit that you need to see, and it's super amplified right in your face, and it's actually going to upset you, humiliate you, destroy you, and shatter your heart. And there was a certain level of wow, my heart got shattered in just a few months. And, it wasn't bad. It was oh, well, there's another heart-shattering moment in my life. Okay, what am I here to learn from this? What am I here to see? Why is this happening? And to be very conscious of every little aspect of okay, well, what's surfacing? Why did I even attract in this situation? What is it here for? Because I believe everything is a mirror. There's something that attracted into my life to be able to see something and work with it and expand and heal from it. That's why we are in relation with anyone, I believe, right? We are relational beings to be in this kind of this soul's journey of okay, well, what's it about? Who are you really? what is surfacing now to, be seen and integrated. So yeah, it was really profound, all the signs and synchronicities and everything that came in. And again, for many years, I find it fascinating. I have heard of people and met people who are like, oh, I decided to go just do Iboga without really even thinking about it. I heard about it and it sounds good, and I'm just going to go pop down and, go do it somewhere. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to say what's right or wrong, but I do believe like when you're entering into these spaces, especially with this level of a master, like this is a mastered plant. This is, to me, unless there's something else out there that I don't know of, this is the absolute, master healer plant on planet Earth, along with like the carrots and the celery and the avocados, you know what I mean? Like, not to put one above another because it's every plant. But this medicine, just deeply profound master. And not easy. There were parts of it that I look back on, I was like, why did no one tell me this or that or this or that? Which, by the way, I think I'm going to offer this up as really just as a service, because I was a little surprised how I have been working in this field. I have been very active in this kind of medicine world for a very long time. I have interviewed people. I've been friends with people who've served it. I have spent time with people who've served it. I've been out on extended trips with people who served this medicine, and I'm like, why didn't I hear about this part and this part and this part and this part? Which I wonder, I'm like, is there a reason why they didn't want to tell me this? Maybe it's better that I didn't know, but I wish there were certain things that I really wish I had known just to prepare myself for. Thankfully, I was with a really good group, really good facilitators, like solid crew of people, very intentional crew. And, I also know a lot of the right questions to ask. So I asked a lot of questions beforehand. And so I got a fair amount of answers, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I knew about that. But I think if I hadn't known, I might have been pretty thrown off by certain things. So I actually, I'm like, I want to start offering up, and, I think I'll put it out there as like a donation, pay what you wish, and maybe donate a portion of the proceeds to, the Bwiti people that are holding and carrying this medicine. But I want to offer preparation sessions that have nothing to do with your body, like meaning like I'm not going to prepare you when it comes to your medical, because that's what your facilitators are supposed to be doing, and hopefully they are, and if they're not, I wouldn't work with them. But the other aspects of what I wish I had known, like the day after and the sleep, there's certain things I had known about, but not to the extent that I had experienced. And then life after it, I cannot imagine getting on an airplane, going back to my day-to-day life, like right after one of these retreats. Like, I don't know how people do that. There's a certain level of destabilization, which I believe happens with all psychedelics, and I was fine with it, actually. Like, I was actually doing really well. And I think, I would say majority probably are. And there's definitely people that get extremely destabilized. And I've experienced that with dietas. I've experienced that with, like working with San Pedro for a day or being in a teepee or whatever it is. I mean, it happens all the time. But, this one was like, yeah, I personally would leave ample room to be able to truly give space to this medicine and to your body to recover. It was definitely interesting how it affected my body. My body felt amazing and also destroyed at the exact same time. I like certain things where I'm like, oh my God, I think that injury just went away. And then, guess what? The injury actually amplified a few weeks later. I don't know. I'm also doing a lot of work, again, this is integration. I'm doing a lot of work to be able to root in the changes that my body took, which I was already doing beforehand. Like, I knew where my body had certain things like old injuries or, trying to bring consciousness into parts of my body to be able to be in like a full alignment and have this vessel working really efficiently and really well and breathing well and, being that open channel, which is, it's not just mind, it's body, it's energy, it's space, it's breath, it's everything. But it was really fascinating even now I'm still experiencing oh, well, that's interesting. How much of this is coming up because of this Iboga experience to be looked at and worked on and, bringing a lot more consciousness and presence into the tiniest of places in my body that weren't even online, which I find really fascinating. This is the one thing I'm really fascinated by, is to experience how this medicine can really help bring such a deeper presence into the body, which I already had a pretty fair presence. Since I was quite young, I've always been an athlete and very sensitive with when it comes to kinesthetic and energy. Like I've always felt everything. So I've always been super tapped into my body, and like there's even more. There's these little spaces and little parts and pieces that have been offline or like where there was no consciousness whatsoever. And this had nothing to do with my ceremonies. Like there was really nothing that came through like, oh, bring consciousness into the, the fourth toe on your left foot. No. But now, since working with the medicine, I can feel a deeper level of presence to the tiniest of parts that have been like maybe not fully in operation. And, we'll see. This is where I say, ask me in 6 to 12 months or 2 years, who knows? Also, when it comes to my intention and my prayer, it's like people say like, oh, did you get your intention? Has it manifested yet? Well, no, actually it hasn't. And I believe on such a deeper level that it is like, there's no doubt. There was never a doubt, but now it's like a deeper level of surrender, because that's all we're here for anyways. Right. So I find it very fascinating how many people go there with this goal. Like someone who was with me, who I love dearly, it was like, oh, well, I want to figure out what's next in my work and what I'm going to put out there in the world. And there's nothing wrong with it. That was one of my many prayers as well, was like, hey, show me what's next. Because I know there's been shifts in what I'm doing in the world, and I don't know what it is. I have an idea. I've had glimpses. I am also really attuned to what's just flowing through me, and I follow it. But I got a very specific, it didn't show me what it was and how to go do it, but it gave me what I would call an energetic activation that was very clear that I was gifted something, and the gifts were already here. Who knows, right? And what I would say is, this isn't the medicine to go and like, oh, I'm going to go do this to then like be told what my life purpose is. And then next thing you know, I'll just be rich, God help us. God help us if that's why you're going into doing it. Who knows? Maybe there's people that do that, and who am I to say what's right or wrong? But, my experience was quite deep. I do believe, this is ancestral work. This is collective work. This is epigenetics, energetic. I do believe all of these plant medicines are on some level doing all of that, but this one is like unreal. I will say this too as well, the purge, which, I had known about and not been afraid of, but wow. I have never experienced a purge like that before in my life, and I hope to God I never will at that level again. I'm sure if I ever do this again, I'm sure it's bound to happen, but holy crap, that was unreal. And there's no words for it. It's not like, oh, that was just, a lot of throwing up. Like it's well beyond that. It's like, what is really coming through me right now? What is it that I'm purging? Like, and who cares? Like the story doesn't matter, but it was just like unbelievable that the human body was even capable of that. And then the energy that came through, I don't know, I can make up 1,000 stories as to what it was. It was like, I think I have just purged energy from generations and lifetimes and ancestry and strands in my DNA, or, I don't even know what to call them. It's like the epigenetics, like the tiniest of energetic particles that are living in my DNA, and who's to say what this is going to, quote, do, right? Like, I have no idea what this is going to do and how it's going to, show itself. But I bow with the utmost respect and gratitude for this plant, for whatever it was that purged through me, for whatever it was that was activated, for whatever the DNA healing, the healing of, my ancestry, the abuse, the destruction on earth, the death, the starvation, essentially, I kept saying, I was like, yeah, it was like the entire Kali Yuga, like everything negative that we would put into the category of negative and hard and challenging and upsetting and like grief, like to be just like sitting with all that, which is fucking hard. It's like hard ass work. It is not pleasant at all. Pretty much none of what I saw was pleasant. There was like maybe 3 or 4 moments that were pleasant. It was hard and so profound and so beautiful. It's like, it's a very hard thing to even say that. It's like, man, to even think about going back in there, it's like, oh God, like, are we just gluttonies for, punishment? Are we masochistic? I don't know, on some level, it's like, I don't know, maybe. And like, there's this utmost respect for whatever is moving through my field. Whether it's for me and my ancestors and for, those that have come after me, for the children in my life, the children in my family, like, who knows? Maybe it's for the collective, maybe it's for the earth, maybe it's all of the above, maybe it's none of the above. There is no knowing, there never will be. And whatever it was, there's just this knowing that there's nothing like that. There's no experience like this. And I have such a profound level of reverence for this master. But yeah, it's not to be taken lightly, in my opinion. And now I know why. I'm very glad I waited, even though I was like, man, I wish I had done this 10 years ago, but no, divine timing. Really took me 12 years to make that decision. And I don't believe any of these medicines are to be taken lightly. It's no joke. There's also there's a true aspect to the fact that, yeah, you can die from it. You can also die from drinking alcohol or crossing the street, right? Like, you can die from, because you will die, you're going to die being human. But, it's not something to be taken lightly. I will say, I can't recommend anyone except, maybe the people I sat with. I used to recommend people based on just trust. But I don't know. It's a hard thing to say. Like, I don't know. I would make sure that if you're going to go work with this medicine, that they do a proper medical intake. And the medical intake is no joke. It's like, it was long. It was, and I'm glad, there was medical on site, and there was medical being done right beforehand, before both ceremonies. And, I wouldn't do it any other way, and it's not to create fear. It's just, there's a reality to it, because the more people that die doing these medicines, the more it just, it keeps it from accessibility for everyone. So if you're going to go do this, please be discerning. Please really inquire within yourself. Like, do you need this? Is this the right medicine? Is it the right time? Are you coming with the right utmost respect? Where's your reciprocity, giving back to the carriers of this medicine, to the energy? Maybe it's not that you can give money back, but if you can, please do give money back to, these traditions. And carry some level of respect for this medicine. It's no joke. It is so powerful, and I'm eternally grateful. So that's my latest update, and yeah, maybe I'll make a 6-month follow-up. Thank you for being here. Many blessings to you. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you're feeling inspired, I'd appreciate it if you showed your love with a review. And check out my YouTube channel where you can find the video version of this podcast. You can also head to bethaweinstein.com to learn more about me and grab my free business growth trainings. Remember, you carry your own unique medicine, and your medicine is what we need for these times.